Question 28. So here we have an application of area between two curves. Suppose a company wants to introduce a new machine that will produce a rate of annual savings in dollars given by the function f s prime of x, where x is the number of years of operation of the machine, while producing a rate of annual costs in dollars given by the function c prime of x. For how many years will it be profitable to use this new machine? So the first thing we want to do is we want to set these two equations equal to each other to find their point of intersection. So 212 minus x squared equals x squared plus 6/5 x. Since it's a quadratic, I'm going to move everything. I'm going to the right-hand side. It doesn't matter which side, but I'd like to keep the x squared positive. So I'm going to add an x squared. That's going to give me 212 equals 2x squared plus 6/5 x. And then, because it's a quadratic, it needs to be equal to 0. So I'm going to move that 212 over. Now, I'm going to use the quadratic formula, and I will give you all the quadratic formula on the exam if you have a question that requires the quadratic formula. I'm going to multiply everything by 5 first, though, because I do not want to deal with fractions. So 0 is 10x squared plus 6x minus 212 times 5, 1,060. Now, these are big numbers, but you'll have the formula. I'll write it here for you, but I will give it to you in case you don't have it memorized. The opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So it is negative 6 plus or minus the square root of 36 minus 4 times 10 times negative 1060. And all of that's over 20 because 2 times 10 is 20. So that's negative 6 plus or minus the square root, and I'm just going to type this directly into my calculator as I see it with the parentheses and everything. And I get 42,436. I'm going to double check that. Let's see, that's 4 times 10 times 1,060 plus 36. So yes, 42,436 over 20. And now I'll just take the square root of 42,436. So that's the square root of 42,436 is 206. So it's negative 6 plus and minus 206 over 20. So it's negative 6 plus 206 over 20. Well, that's 200 over 20, which is 10. And the other one's going to be a negative. And so we don't need that one because in the context of our problem, we're not going backwards in time, we're going forwards in time. So we know that the two curves are equal at the point x equals 10. So this is going to be our number of profitable years. So we check our answer there, 10 years. Okay, now we want to know what are the net total savings during the first year of use of the machine. So we only want 1 year's worth of adding up all the savings. Now, before we know which function to put first, we really need to know which one is the higher one. Remember we said, like, if you have a curve here and a curve here, you need to know the upper one because you're going to subtract it minus the bottom one. So we're only going 1 year out, so we need to pick a value between 0 and 1 to figure out which one is higher at that point. So I'm going to choose a half. So I'm going to do S prime of 0.5, and I'm going to do C prime of 0.5. So that's going to be 212 minus 0.5 squared, and 0.5 squared plus 6/5 of 0.5. I have a feeling this first one's going to be bigger, right? 212 minus 0.5 squared is 211.75. 0.5 squared plus 6 is 6.25. So this is the higher one during that period. Okay? So I am going to take the S curve first. So it's going to be 212 minus x squared minus x squared plus 6/5 x. And then we have to take the integral of that. And it's going to add up all the savings for us during the first year. So I'm going to simplify first. 212 minus x squared minus 6/5 x, because this minus gets distributed. So that's going to give me 212 minus 2x squared minus 6/5 x, and now I'm ready to take the integral, and it's not 0 to 0, sorry, we're going out to the first year, so that should be a 1 right there. So we're going from 0 to 1, right? So 212x minus 2x to the third over 3, add 1, divide by the power, minus 6/5 x squared, I got to put a 2 in that denominator. Now, since it's a definite integral, we don't have to add plus c. So it's 212x minus 2/3 x cubed minus 6/10 x squared, or I could have said 3/5 right there, because 6/10 reduces to 3/5. Now, the nice thing is we're just looking at the first year, so this 0 is going to cause a 0 for all of those. So all I have to do is plug in a 1. 212 times 1 minus 2/3 times 1 cubed, that's going to be 2/3, minus 3/5 times 1 squared. So it's 212 minus 2/3 minus 3/5, and they say round it to the nearest dollar. So 212 minus 2 fraction key 3 minus 3 fraction key 5 is 3161 over 15. And if I divide that, 3161 divided by 15, I get $210.73, so $211 is how much we would save in the first year. Now in Part C, they want to know the total net savings over the entire period of use of the machine. So we already set these equal and found that the number of profitable years is 10. So we've got to do the integral now from 0 to 10, not just the first year, but the whole 10 years. We do not need to reintegrate. We've already done the integral. It's this 212x, it's this right here. We just need to reevaluate it, this time from 0 to 10. And again, the 0 is just going to give us 0, so we just have to do it at 10. So it's 212 times 10 minus 2/3, 10 cubed, and let's see, minus 3/5 times 10 squared. So no need to do the integration again because it's the same function, it's just over a different period of time. So that's going to be 2/3 times 1,000 and 3/5 times 100. So it's 2120 minus 2,000 over 3 minus 300 over 5, and it's to the nearest dollar, so I'm just going to put it in my calculator. 2120 minus 2,000 divided by 3 minus 300 divided by 5 is $1,393 and some change, but they want it to the nearest dollar, so $1,393.